when things get more rocky or volatile, what do we do?
Hi viewers, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 1 of Unscripted with Eastspring Investments. So I'm also super excited that for the first episode in Season 3, we have none other than Christina Woon, our Senior PM, responsible for our flagship Asia equity strategy. And when she's not on CNBC and Bloomberg, she very kindly makes time to be with us on Unscripted. Great to have you here. Happy New Year, Christina.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's walk and talk.
Sure.
Okay, good. So Christina, look, a lot happening. Let's talk about the Asia equity income strategy. Rates peaking, increased volatility. Tell us a little bit about the base case for why Asia equity income and why now?
Sure. So I would say that we're actually in quite an interesting point in time in markets where markets are supportive of both income and growth in Asia, which is why Asia equity income makes particular sense at this point in time. You see, within Asia, earnings estimate revisions continue to be positive, while inflation remains benign, creating room for monetary and fiscal policy easing to continue. And then from an income perspective, this ongoing rhetoric of improving shareholder returns and corporate governance is continuing. While falling rates means that investors will have to look elsewhere for other avenues of income. And then amid all of this, positioning in Asia still remains light. So to my mind, it tells me that there could be more runway to go. Altogether, it could be quite beneficial for investors to have an allocation to Asia equity income at this time.
That makes a lot of sense. And Christina, we're beginning to see a lot of flows and interest, client flows, but also interest, both in emerging markets and in Asia. So I think from a timing perspective, it makes a lot of sense. Tell us a little bit about your investing strategy, right? Because there's a number of strategies out there where clients are focused on dividends, they're focused on income. It could be call override strategies and others. But how does your Asia equity income strategy differentiate itself from what you see out there? We want to pick into that a little bit and hear from you.
Sure. I think the key thing to remember about us is that we're trying to invest in a very different set of ideas versus a traditional income investor that tends to focus a lot more on historical yields or headline yields. Very simply put, this means that we don't shy away from opportunities that have a clear and evolving income angle, even if they don't screen well on traditional income metrics at this point in time, but will likely do so in the future. Tech and industrials are great examples of this. And unless you're an active investor that understands the fundamentals of the business and strategy, it will become very difficult for you to identify these forward-looking opportunities. And if you're too passive or too traditional in your approach to income, you're basically fishing in a much narrower universe that's not representative of the full suite of opportunities that Asia has to offer. So being forward-looking about income, which is very key for us, has been quite a successful lever in delivering income and alpha for our clients because we're incorporating the element of change in our strategy. And ultimately, Asia is a dynamic and diverse region that's constantly evolving. So we can't afford to be mired in the past if we want to deliver the best outcomes to clients.
Absolutely. Look, very compelling, very, very good points there, Christina. And bringing this to life for investors, as investors today start thinking about portfolio construction in a world that is changing, de-dollarization, as I said earlier, demand for EM, etc. What kind of investor do you think should be looking at an Asia equity income strategy and what makes sense from a portfolio construction perspective, if I can ask you those two questions combined?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say that this strategy is best suited for the investor that values consistency and balance in returns over the long term. So a core allocation, if you will. The income element of the strategy lends steady returns alongside buffer amid volatility, while the broader exposure to Asia across different styles, markets, and sectors gives you access to a balanced set of alpha drivers. And I would say that most importantly, the active element of the strategy means that it can remain nimble and relevant in constantly evolving times.
Yeah, no, completely agree. And look, just a punchline question as we close. In case volatility continues in this environment, how do you talk about staying power? How should an investor who has Asia equity income as part of a portfolio, how should he or she be thinking about this strategy amidst an increased volatility environment over the next 6 to 12 months?
Sure. I think that, or maybe let me phrase it this way. When things get more rocky or volatile, what do? We seek balance, and basically a forward-looking Asia equity income strategy gives you that. So in volatile times, I would encourage investors to be really thinking about balance in their portfolios.
Fantastic. Love that. Thank you very much, Christina. I know we've been seeing a lot of great things coming off on the strategy as well. And thank you so much for being on the show. Best of luck for the Year of the Horse for you and the strategy and for Eastspring. Great to have you on the show.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Christina. Appreciate it.